All right, what's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Good, good, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
can't
so
complain.
welcome to our first episode here of the TJK Network podcast series. We're gonna post these once a week here on the TJK Network YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button.
Hit it. You already know.
So our first episode here, again, we're going to be uploading these once a week, but our first episode here, we're going to recap the 24-25 sports season, and we're going to have our outlook and predictions into the 25-26 season on what comes for the varsity teams and some of the JV teams this upcoming season.
Yeah.
So I like to, get into, TJK Network's, a little bit of its past here, because actually we were coincidentally filming this first podcast episode. I mean, it may not be uploaded on this date, but our
Oh my
filming
gosh.
date,
Yeah.
August 7th.
Yeah, yeah. I did not even realize that until you just said that.
I just noticed that on my computer right here.
It's been like a blur for me lately. I don't even know what day it is, what's going on. We've just been doing so much, but yeah, that is pretty crazy that you bring that up.
Yeah, 3-year anniversary for TJK Network.
Yeah, yeah.
And, this is going
And
to be
it's the same place it pretty much started right here.
yeah, right here.
In an unfinished part. This studio was not built, but other than that, it was this same compound pretty much. This
Yeah,
house.
pretty
So
much.
that is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's like insane. So, yeah, 3-year anniversary now. A lot has happened in the past 3
No,
years.
for sure. Yeah.
Now, of course, the 24-25 season, we should definitely talk before that. Like, we didn't know that, after I graduated from Pequannock High School,
Yeah.
no one knew I was going to return. And we
Yeah,
did
no,
return.
yeah. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
I didn't think so either. I didn't even know and I remember at the start it was shaky for you and you weren't actually sure 100% if you were going to be able to get a deal done or even have the chance to broadcast. So the
Yeah.
fact that you were able to get back on doing it, first of all, just for the students and the people who are associated with obviously the athletics at the school, that's a big deal. But for those who actually watch the network, it's turned into something that's so much bigger than like what it started as. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's so much more complex. It's so much more of a brand that has turned into something that like is so much more valuable than when it initially started. And so I think the fact that you were able to do it another year, I was very surprised. But I think in general the people who let you do it another year should be really surprised because you took I'm gonna give you a lot of the credit. You took a massive leap this year
Yeah.
in broadcasting and obviously just like graphics and all that stuff. And people watching this know that as well. But now we're podcasting.
Yeah. Before we get into anything more, we should definitely introduce ourselves. Of course, you guys know me, Tyler Kasterzak, the CEO, and of course the main broadcaster. And
Yep.
you are.
And I'm Logan. For those who don't know me, I'm not always here, but I co-founded the brand with Tyler initially when we started a few years ago. And since then I've done a few games here and there with them and have been working pretty much mainly behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But
Talk about how it got you into college, because you made a video about
yeah,
all your
so
contributions.
I made a video. I'm gonna be a communication student, similar to what Tyler's gonna be. It's a broader spectrum communications. You can do multiple things with it. So obviously Tyler wants to be in more the commentating side with his future career, whereas with me, it's more of not just commentating, but it could be stuff in the background, the design of things, just media in general. And I'm gonna find my exact path when I go there. But yeah, I used everything I created up to this point, including obviously a lot of the credit goes to Tyler, but my affiliation with TJK Network as a part of that resume and portfolio that I built to get me into college. And obviously, I made that video that I released recently. I made that video about a year ago. I think I started a year ago, and then I finalized it in October because I think November 1st is the main
Yeah.
deadline
It
for like
was.
schools.
It was kind of like a build video.
Yeah, and it just showed. Yeah, it showed like
Mid-time.
everything from the very start, from when I first started to then the brands we were able to create, not just me, but as a community, a fan base, and then also with the people I met through YouTube, which obviously Tyler. Like for those who don't know, we met each other
Yeah.
through doing this.
Crazy.
Not exactly the network, but like through doing content creation.
Yeah, because obviously you guys, some people may know this, older TJK Network fans may know from previously, but I used to be a YouTuber on my main channel. Of course, it just slowed down, as things time passed on, and of course,
Yeah, everyone grows up. Yeah.
yeah, and it got busy, and when I got into sports broadcasting and creating TJK Network, it wasn't even an idea. It was meant to be a funny little gig
Yeah, for a
for
little boxing thing.
your
Yeah.
little boxing thing that never happened. But then it just came across my head: what if I just broadcast the high school sports
Yeah.
professionally?
No, 100%. Like I found like I love creating content, but I found like way more of a love for creating brands and like, just being able to not only love what you do, but be able to profit off what you do as well. And I think not only are we getting that with the network, but also just the brands that I've made on the side, like all together, you look at it all and you're like, oh, back then, like, we were doing silly little funny things. Like, I was pranking people and, like, we were playing games on live streams, which is like, yeah, credit to all of that because that's what
Yeah.
got us here. But, like, you look what it turns into. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's really cool. And, like, you don't never really get a chance to, like, stop and, like, think about it. And then when you do something like this, you're like, wow, like, we've really come a very long way, not just as a whole, but
Yeah.
also just this network. I mean, this network wasn't even made for
That's
broadcasting
what I'm
sports.
saying.
Like, it's insane. So, yeah, all the credit to TJK Network on my behalf, because it definitely accelerated my chances at going to school where I'm going to be actually living halfway across the country, or all the way across the country, should I be saying.
Yeah, not halfway.
And it was a massive part of my resume, but I'm obviously for Tyler, it's an even bigger part. So, yeah, happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, beginning of the year is a little slow, you can say. But
Yeah. Well, that's what you gotta like mingle around the off season, and so that's why when you brought this idea, I was like, yeah, this definitely is a good idea. And just to further branch out the network, because when you're not being able to live stream sports and record sports, it's a dead space, right?
yeah, it's dead space. Thank goodness though we got a summer league team for the hockey team.
Yeah. Which we did. We did do something a couple weeks ago for that.
Yeah.
And I know you've been doing it.
And there's one more game.
Yeah,
Which is August 13th, and we'll definitely be at that game covering it.
for sure.
But otherwise, the beginning of the 24-25 season definitely was bumpy. It definitely was, tough to not have soccer covered. The girls' volleyball team was not covered, and winter sports, basketball is completely out of it. Only hockey was getting filmed, of course,
Yeah.
compared to us broadcasting before because of the Ice Vault's new deal with their pay-to-watch service, which completely ruined it, sort of. But we were able to at least get some films out to put on YouTube for people to rewatch, especially the games that got corrupted by the service.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the hockey season, like right when the playoffs started, I don't know if you remember it, but that game, it was a state game, the first round. We were the 11 seed, so going in, we were already heavily unfavored.
Yeah.
Against a 6 seed, and we had a 2-0 lead.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they ended up tying it and going to overtime, but we won it 3-2, and that was the one epic moment I would like to say. But the other epic moment, I think, during the intermission was when we were coming back on the air into I think it was the second or third period. We hit 1,000 subscribers on that live stream.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So of course, if throughout that year, that season, the whole goal is to get 1,000 subscribers to get monetization, to expand more on TJK Network, to get some extra, income for it, alongside of getting funded by some of the teams. And, I thought I was going to hit it, just sitting at home. I was going to wake up with it. But hitting it on a playoff broadcast.
A peak broadcast, too.
A peak broadcast, yeah. It was at Cody Arena. And if you remember, a year ago, it was the place, I mean, not the same team, but when we were the 5 seed as a contender.
Yeah.
We were, supposed to play at their place, but their place was partially outdoors. It was raining, and it was kind of in the 50s, so not really great. So it was foggy, so it was not a great place to play. So the game got pushed next day to Cody. But when we broadcast there, we got shut out 5-0, and it was pretty emotional.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And to go back there a year later, roughly around that time, just I would say it's a season later. I wouldn't say it's exactly a year, maybe it is,
but approximately, and have all the stars align. The next year over. That's great.
Yeah, and that time we get an insane 3-2, like great action game. Yeah, you could say, getting that win in overtime, pulling off the crazy upset, and also hitting 1,000 subs. So that was a great redemption from a year prior when I didn't think I was gonna be broadcasting again, and to come back there a year later, get the win, and also hit the big milestone, and that was great. And if you didn't know, during the playoffs, since I hit 1,000 subscribers, I went back and did a basketball game.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, we got upset by the 6 seed. That got hot and made to the final, but it was cool getting at least one game. Being back in that gym.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's why I'm saying, not to make this like a life thing, but sometimes the best times of your life are the hardest times of your life. Like when you don't know if you're gonna have another year to do it, and then you get that extra year, and then bam, you got that extra year, and look at what year it was, not just for every sport, but ice hockey in general. My gosh, the way you guys flipped the table there.
Yeah, the middle of the season.
A miracle story right there, right? So there's just there was so much potential in the extra year. And it was just I think it was a great outcome for everything.
We'll definitely get into the recap more of every team in a second, but yeah, and then by the spring when it was monetized, we got hired by baseball and softball, and the lacrosse teams just went under YouTube monetization. It was a full, for the first time since I was a senior,
Yeah.
full action for every sports team getting covered.
Yeah. That's massive
And
milestone.
that was the big goal there. And hopefully, going into this year, the fall will bring back soccer, because that was a
Yep.
big missed thing that, was tough to,
Soccer's getting bigger here. People
Yeah.
like soccer more and more every year. You'd be surprised.
bring back the volleyball team too in the
Yeah.
fall. But field hockey and, of course, football will still be returning. They were, day one supporters, you can say.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the winter we get basketball back alongside hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey won't be
Yeah.
changing. Depends. Hopefully we can get broadcast again, but I don't think it's going to happen with their contract they have there. So we'll just do our best to get the footage here
The best possible out. Yeah.
and release the video as quick as possible, because, it does take time to edit, because you have to do everything manually, which is
Yeah.
the pretty rough part, because broadcast is instantaneous. So
Yeah.
having to have people wait like at least maybe like 1 to 3 days I
It's
feel
tough.
bad.
Yeah,
it's tough. Of course, we do the radio broadcast to Discord, which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you guys don't know, that's a chatting app, but I use it for TJK NETWORK a lot.
And it works. It works. Yeah.
Instead of having the broadcast and radio software there through the bad like Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
since Discord doesn't need that much bandwidth, I have 2 accounts, and I would have the main computer at home that's streaming the live scores from the Ice Vault, and just having like another account that picks up the audio. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
I just communicate through a voice channel, and it's simple, because when I need a mute, I just mute it there.
Yeah.
And
We'll have to learn more of those softwares coming up. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 2,000 miles away.
yes, we'll definitely be
Yeah.
Getting you the feed live
Yeah.
through virtual camera.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm excited. I'm honestly excited. I think
It's gonna be-
I think it's a learning curve, but
gonna be interesting.
it's gonna bring a lot of advancements in general, just because you're gonna be able to do this like anywhere now. Where it's like
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
we learned from me being away, but like in the future when we scale TJK Network, like you can use it a lot. Yeah. So it's definitely gonna be interesting, but we'll make
Yeah.
it work. It's gonna happen.
Now, of course, when I wasn't covering those certain sports because of the limitations I had with, some teams not needing it as much as others, you can say. Obviously, TJK Network 2, 3, Extra, all the other stations were still active on them, because those just keep the channel alive instead of just sitting out and
Yeah.
not having any like source of views, which of course is what helps, because now with the monetized channel, if I'm not at a game, we get a multi-header, anything that happens, it's there. And now, like, it helps pull in some revenue and a bunch of viewership and new subscribers.
Yeah.
And, of course, the big hurdle that's going to be into this season that obviously you didn't really see that much last year until later, but it wasn't really that big of a deal, is copyright music's going to be the challenge to keep it out of the streams.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, normal, like, big league TVs broadcast, televised
worry about
games,
it.
you don't have to worry about it, but this is YouTube here, so we need
We're
to.
not cable streaming. Yeah, that's the bad part. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to, figure a way, because especially for the TJK Network 2 streams where it's, hands off, automatically running,
Mm-hmm.
we have to find a way to. I don't want to mute the stream entirely, because you want to hear the game, but at the same time, when like there's like a pause and there's music happening, like we need to figure out a way that can cut that music out
Yeah.
or silence it until it's done. But overall, so that's like pretty much the journey of TJK Network and how it's gotten to this point. And of course, this season's most likely going to be the last season where I'm like really focused on Pequannock before I open up to broader places to look for some, more teams to cover and stuff. I'm sure TJK Network will still have some Pequannock games on the main station from time to time. And of course, TJK Network 2 is probably mostly going to still be active, because this is the root of the channel viewership wise. So I think having those other stations will definitely still be active, and we definitely are looking for someone who can take over, and I think we may have someone
Which is
down
great.
the line,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is great. I told
Yeah.
you about him. He's from the class of 2028, so obviously I didn't go to high school with him. He was a freshman when I was already graduated, so, but again, it's nice meeting new people that I never went to class with,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
seeing that I'm growing interest in,
Yeah.
people want
Even
to
broader
come.
than just the people who were at the school originally.
Yeah.
That's big time. Yeah.
Yeah, and that helps big
More,
time.
it's like a household name now at the school.
Yeah.
Just know at TJK Network, that's where it's gonna be on. That's pretty big.
Yeah, and that's good. That's a class of 2028, so he's gonna be a sophomore, so he's got plenty of years. So finding someone who's just new to the school, so that we have TJK Network prolonged a lot longer,
Yeah.
is what's gonna help big time. But anyways, that's pretty much the story of TJK Network and how we got here. Everyone knows it's just the humble beginnings of the boxing fight, and then just starting as a passion project, and having it as a job with my senior season, you could say, my senior year. And of course, now making it into a full LLC, and going through the challenges of running it on your own.
Yeah.
And I think we got into a pretty respectable form.
100%.
So, let's go over the, each team here, and, we'll go over the notable players that, I should say former seniors, but notable class of 2025 seniors that are now graduated that, were a big key to this team that, will be gone, of course, and we'll go over who is like the best players that could step up. So, of course, the biggest sport, the biggest talk of town here, football.
Yeah.
End of the week, every high school packs out. It's the most hyped thing ever. Football, of course, everyone runs their funny
It's
bars.
America's sport.
It literally is. It's whether it's NFL, college football,
whether you like
or
it or not, it is.
at your high school, just going to your football game. To anyone who's watching this, who goes to Pequannock High School, class of 2029 too.
Yeah.
When you think about it, the new freshmen coming in, if you guys are, getting new to this, you definitely want to, enjoy high school. Because it goes by fast. I mean, I sound like silly saying this because they're like
No, it's 100% true. Yeah.
they're like 14. They don't have anything to think about yet.
Yeah.
But definitely, dude. Technically, I only had 2 good years of high school. When you think about it, freshman year was completely COVID, and the pandemic was there because my 8th grade got robbed. If you guys didn't know, I'm sure everyone knows that. So 8th grade was just happening, and then all of a sudden it's just, you're on a computer in class, you're getting thrown assignments. I mean, the first year, like, no one knew how to operate it, so it was just, like, it was a mess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like...
We probably wouldn't know each other without it, though. That's the big thing to think about. But
yeah, but that's what happened.
It definitely was an interesting era of time to go down in the history books for everyone, but especially, like, for students. It's so weird, like... It's especially right when you go into high school too. Like I had part of it, and thank God I'm a year behind you, so it was a bit different for me. But yeah, like just to think back to that, like I'm happy for myself that it was that it was early enough. But imagine it was like later. I mean,
Yeah, for me,
for the current seniors, then oh my gosh, it must be like terrible.
For the class of 2024, which is my class.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like freshman year, it was it was kind of like there was the cohorts thing, so you didn't even see your full class or I should say full class, any like student.
Yeah, we
there.
did something very
It was
similar.
half occupied. You had half kids online in your classroom and half were occupying the desks, all separated. And you had kids that were completely remotely online. But then, of course, I think like a couple months into school year, it went completely virtual because like people were getting sick.
Yeah.
And of course, I just stayed virtual because like there was no point because it just wasn't really.
Well, yeah, because the focal point wasn't more centered on the students in the class, because like you had to focus on having the whole thing set up on the video call.
Yeah.
And like so you're still screen sharing everything, because like you can't do something on the whiteboard and then have the kids at home be able to see it. So it was just honestly, it's like it was a kind of a whole mess.
Yeah, but yeah,
I did something very similar.
Regardless, though, I mean, I'm not trying to make it like the story of my high school career and the pandemic. I'm just using it as an example to for my message to the younger class, the underclassmen, 2028 and 2029 class. Of course, class of 2027 and the class of 2026 are all in the upper class now. We'll get into those guys soon. I have a lot to say about that. And of course, my sophomore year, so going after that, telling them like to enjoy your years in high school, and me saying I have 2 good years. Sophomore year, it was kind of normal, but again, everyone was masked up, so you didn't really see anyone. But of course, I think it was March. That's like the first time ever it felt normal again, but still, it's only like a couple months of actual normal like school, you could say. Normal school.
And then you're out again. Yeah, no, I remember that because that's when they lifted the mandate or whatever.
Yeah, because it was starting to finally, with the vaccination and stuff, and it just becomes normal. You learn, it comes and there's no like way to do it. So you have to isolate everyone, and all of a sudden, everyone comes back, and it just becomes normal. It becomes a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
But so 2021, 2022 year, my sophomore year, it was partially normal, but junior year and senior year is when it was completely normal. Full years of normal like learning and of course involvement. Of course, and you guys know junior year was the first year of TJK Network, and one thing I definitely could say I regret doing is not starting it sooner.
Yeah.
Because 21-22 was a very good school year for the athletic program. Basketball got to the county final. Boys basketball, they finished 23-4. They got to the sectional semifinal, but they got upset. Nearly beat them, but a bad mistake with the final 6 seconds. I was actually at the game as a fan. This was like before TJK Network was an idea. It was against Ramsey. and I think Ramsey was like a 6 seed and we were a 2 seed. I don't remember because again, I wasn't really involved back then. But that was one key moment, and also the other key moment was the ice hockey team winning the Big North Bronze Cup.
Yeah.
They weren't a good team at all. Like they started the season 0-9, and this was Coach Scarpa's first year. They started 0-9, so having the first time ever, your first season as a coach being 0-9, that must feel horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, it's
then
definitely not easy.
and then after that, they went 8-7-1, and they won the last ever Big North Bronze Cup because they got rid of it the season after. And of course, obviously now we'll get into that later. They obviously won the Silver Cup,
Yeah.
which is great to see. And they made their first sectional final appearance. They didn't win it. It was their first appearance in team history as I think a co-op WMPQ. I'm not counting like when they used to be their own schools or their own teams. But yeah, it just shows the progress. So, and we can go over the history of WMPQ because last year and this year are the first back-to-back winning record seasons.
Yeah,
So
that's
after
huge.
being
and especially this
bottom.
year, who would have thought? Like
Yeah.
it was like out of nowhere they just started winning and never
Yeah.
stopped. Right?
We'll definitely get into that once we go over each team individually. But back to football here. So last year, I'm gonna pull up the record from last year. Last year they finished with an overall record of 8-3, and they had a divisional record of 3-2 in the SFC American White. I could go over the standings to see what they placed. I think they placed third in the division. So of course, when I was a senior, they were in the old SFC. I think it was I'll have to look. I think it was the National Blue. Yeah, the National Blue. That was their old division. It was a light easier division. And of course, the 24-20, or I should just say 2024 season because it ends before even the year changes.
Yeah.
So the 2024 season, they got moved to a much better American White division, and I can go over the teams in the old division. If I could find it again, the National Blue. So for example, they played. Obviously, I remember when I was a senior and a junior because they weren't good junior years, senior years when they turned it around, and they were both in the same division. But their division was Boonton, Wallkill Valley, Kinnelon, Whippany Park, North Warren, and Hapatcon. Hapatcon may be new because, again, when teams move divisions, some teams move down divisions.
Yeah.
So I don't remember Hapatcon being in it. But I definitely know Boonton, Wallkill Valley, Kinnelon, Whippany Park, and North Warren. But this is the common thing. So Boonton, of course, was 6-4 that in 2024. Last year, though, the year before, I should say, because I keep thinking at that time period.
Yeah.
But the 2023 season, 2023 season, Boonton was not good. They were like 4-7 or something, and Wallkill Valley wasn't like right now. They're 5-5. Kinnelon 5-5. I mean, they're having down years now.
Yeah.
Kinnelon was a lot better when I was a senior. They were, I think, 5-4, if I remember. Whippany Park hasn't really been a good team either. 3-6. North Warren 1-8. Those are teams that definitely have struggled. But Whippany Park has actually got some praise this year. They're projected to actually somewhat have an improvement, which is good for them.
Yeah.
But again, the division overall hasn't been competitive for Pequannock, so they won it last year, or I should say 20. I keep saying last year, me thinking I'm a senior, but 2023 they won it that year. Unfortunately, lost the first round at home to the 5 seed Lakeland as they were the 4.
Yeah.
But in 2025, now going into actually last season in the American White, it was a lot tougher division. Of course, they didn't win the division, but of course they still were competitive. But I'll just show you, like for example, the only two really bad teams that struggled in this division was Morris Catholic and Parsippany. Both were 2-7. Parsippany was last because they went 0-4 against divisional opponents, and Morris Catholic went 1-3. They got one win in the division. But those were the only two teams that were really that struggled. But every other that, the 4 teams were good.
Yeah.
Hanover Park won the division undefeated 4-0, 10-2. Madison is 5-4. 4-1 in division. We'll get into Madison. They were an interesting story. Pequannock is 8-3. They have a better overall record, but they went 3-2 in the division, which gave them the 3rd spot. So they finished 3rd. And Mountain Lakes, another very good high school at their athletic program, known for their great lacrosse.
Yeah.
And soccer now. Their girls soccer team's very good.
They have a lot of competitive programs. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mountain Lakes won 6-5, and the crazy part is that was a rebuilding year for them.
Oh yeah.
So they were I think the state sectional champions last year, and this year they started really bad, but then they got hot lately. They're a young like team full of freshmen and sophomores, so it's good that they got hot late and finished 6-5. They went 1-3 in the division, so that's how they finished fourth. But again, the tiebreaker with Morris Catholic being 1-3 in division, of course, Morris Catholic being 2-7 outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Mountain Lakes was higher, and of course, again, they turned it around. Now, of course, Pequannock is 8-3, and Madison is 5-4, but Madison's higher because of their better divisional record. Let's get into that. So Madison actually started the season 0-3,
Yeah.
and they won 5 straight, including beating us. They won 5 straight, and of course, they faced us in the playoffs, and that's when they got their first loss.
Yeah.
We broke their win streak. So they were
What a
actually.
game that was, yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yep.
you were watching
You're
that.
there, yeah.
You were at the senior night game
Yep.
against Morris Catholic.
Yeah.
But back to just talking about Madison, they're gonna be a scary team because again, starting like 0-3, looking like they were dead in the water, like a bad year. Because the year before they were 3-5, so you kind of thought they were gonna have that same expectation starting 0-3. Though they're gonna have another bad year, they're not a good team. But then they just hopped on the wagon and just steamrolled and just
Yeah.
got 5 wins and ended up getting second in the division, taking it away from us. So talking about Pequannock here, because again, they're actually their 25-26 schedule is out, and again they're gonna be in the same division.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'll go over notable players that they're gonna lose. So I'm just gonna go over our prediction off the eye from just statistically and of course opponents wise. So their first game of the season is gonna be Mountain Lakes on September 5th at home. So season opener and the home opener. We'll be covering that hopefully
Yeah.
on TJK Network.
For sure, most definitely.
So of course, Mountain Lakes went 6-5 last year. Again, started slow, but then picked it up later on.
So we could be expecting a little more from them. Yeah.
Yes, definitely could be expecting a little more from them. The last matchup was actually coincidentally September 5th, 2024.
Yeah.
It was at Mountain Lakes. I didn't cover this game. It was on TJK Network too because I couldn't make that game. Pequannock dominated 35-18 against Mountain Lakes. So again, Mountain Lakes being known for being like a good athletic program heavy school,
Yeah.
and them expecting to take a step back, but again their team was young,
Mm-hmm.
and of course with them getting hotter later in the year, because again this was when they were like I think 0-3
Yeah.
when we played them, so of course it looked like we were the favorite. But again, now that they're gonna be a little older, the students, they're gonna be training a little bit better, getting more comfortable with being starters,
Mm-hmm.
because again this
Yeah,
team
it's all
was a lot younger.
experience. Yeah.
So they're-
Especially high school.
exactly, they're gonna have a lot more to bring to the table, and I think this is gonna be a great game. And of course, Pequannock, of course, itself is losing a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
So a lot of younger players are also gonna be stepping up too. So this is gonna be
It'd be like a testament to like what the teams
yeah,
can bring.
two
pretty
young
much, yeah.
two young teams, that are gonna come in and try to bring the best they
Start
can.
off fresh. Yeah. It's gonna be a really good game. Yeah.
So that game, like I'm gonna not predict. I'm gonna give you like a prediction, like record wise, after we go over each season. But I'm gonna tell you the individual games, like what I
Excited for
think
that.
if it's win, loss, or coin flip.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give this game a coin flip.
Yeah.
It can go either way. This game could be very close, or Pequannock could dominate still.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm
Like, we don't
100%
know.
with you on that. Yeah.
So the second game against Parsippany. So Parsippany is a little bit of a tough one because again, like they haven't really been successful at all. Like for the past years, they're like one of those schools that, like, unfortunately, they just don't have a good athletic program every year. It feels
They're
like
stuck in a rut, kind of. Yeah.
they're like stuck in a rock. Don't get me wrong. Recently, some of their like other teams, like mainly baseball and stuff, like have been like starting to show some like progress and looking better. Like their hockey team, they're in your area. They're
Yeah.
merged with Parsippany Hills.
Mm.
They're called Parsippany Regional. They were 11-9,
Yeah.
so they showed some progress.
Yeah.
They didn't make state playoffs because again they weren't in a good division, but again they were. I think they're going to be better down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So no offense. Of course, we're not trying to say anything bad about these other schools. We're just going off stats here and history, and hopefully maybe they can turn it around, because that's every school. You don't want to be. It must be disappointing when you go to a school that doesn't have an athletic program. But again, you probably as an athlete, you would probably want to hope to come there and be the one that changes that. That's what
For sure,
probably makes
yeah.
it extra
the best
motivating when you think
feeling,
about
yeah.
it. Is that you're the class that makes them like go far in the playoffs and takes them the glory and stuff. Because that's the good feeling about the schools that are never good every year, is that that one year, like, you're a group of athletes that are good, come to the school and just make history and make it like one of the most memorable years that for like the next 30
Yeah.
years. Talk about, oh, this like 20, like let's say 2027 season, like, after not being good for a long time, like they went far and they went beyond expectations.
Yeah, no, the anticipation makes you work harder, but also makes you a better player. So,
Yeah.
and you see it in a lot of schools. So,
So yeah, going up
possibly,
after Parsippany.
yeah,
They don't have anything like now, but they can always bring something to the table. So for right now, when talking about, right now, I don't really know what their statistically are right now coming into this season, but I'm gonna say Pequannock gets the win on this one. So,
makes sense. Yeah,
it just makes sense for right now. But again, Pequannock could have a bad game
yeah.
and, they can lose it. So,
Also, you never know with these teams that are consistently like the same. You never know. There could be out of nowhere something could happen.
I
So
mean,
you never
technically
know.
every game is a coin flip,
Yeah,
but we have to pick some wins. So the next game, so that's on the road, by the way, at Parsippany. I forgot to
yeah,
mention that. Pequannock has played at Parsippany. The 2023 season, they played at Parsippany. I was covering these games from home at the time. 2024 season, this is when I actually traveled to these visiting these other schools.
mm-hmm.
So last season I was at every away game, and that was pretty awesome. So we'll probably be traveling to Parsippany for that as well.
Yeah,
So the third game. Now last year, it was a pretty awesome game because I was at this game. This year it's at home. Ramsey.
yeah,
Ramsey always been a good public school for athletics, and of course, Don Bosco is a private school in Ramsey. So Ramsey, being a public school and being a good athletic program, I'm sure it's probably like, competitive.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
So Ramsey last year was undefeated, I think like 4-0, and Pequannock was also undefeated. So this was the battle of the undefeateds. One
Yeah.
team was gonna come out with a loss, and one team was gonna stay undefeated.
Yeah,
Now, when I, traveled to Ramsey High School with my dad and we did this game, I expected it to be a close, like gritty game. It was gonna take to like
the bitter end. Yeah.
the final seconds to see who wins it, maybe even overtime. Like I expected this to be a very close game between these two undefeated schools, and Pequannock came in and just tore it up, dominated, like absolutely like had control like since the kickoff. They won this game 28-7. And that was on September 20th, 2024. And this year's game is going to be September 19th, 2025. So it's going to be a day before. And this is
Pretty
it.
much exactly a year apart though.
This is going to be at Pequannock's field. So this is going to be home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ramsey is going to be actually a lot better. And with Pequannock, losing a lot of guys, again, I could see Ramsey winning this one possibly and getting the revenge. But also, again, if
We saw what happened last year.
we saw what happened last year, if Pequannock is able to, especially with their younger core, step it up, I'm going to give this game a coin flip too.
Yeah.
So Mountain Lakes and Ramsey are the only ones with potential coin flips, and Parsippany being like the only one that I think is a definite win.
Yeah.
Now going into week 4 on September 26th, home versus Kinnelon. So Kinnelon back then, maybe like 2022, the 2022 season, my first year on TJK Network, Kinnelon was a good team,
Yeah.
and they absolutely destroyed Pequannock. And this was at Kinnelon. Obviously, I didn't cover away games at all back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we can go back to 2022. Pequannock lost to Kinnelon 19-7. And let's go over. So Pequannock went 5-6 that season, so they weren't a good team. Kinnelon went 6-4. So that was like their good year. And then we go to 2023 when Pequannock turned it around that season. Kinnelon was still a good team, but of course not as good as before. They actually played one less game. They were 6-4. They went to 5-4. So it was still a good. Like this was at Pequannock too, so I was covering this at home because because the 2023 and 2024 season was a weird one. It was the same exact schedule except they flipped the home and away games.
Mm-hmm.
So 2022 it was at Kinnelon, 2023 it was home, and I was covering this game close, 28-21. It was
Wow.
and of course Pequannock and Kinnelon are always rivals, so they're gonna play every year. 2025 I traveled to Kinnelon High School. That was my first because 2025 was my first time for football. Now, normally for any other sport, I don't go to road games regular season. I wait till playoffs. But football is a once a week thing, and it's a good thing to do with my dad because he likes doing it. We go every Friday and we cover these games. It was a great time. And Pequannock went to Kinnelon High School and dominated 34-7. So initially the game was actually really close. It was 7-7 after the first quarter, and it was 14-7 going into halftime. Pequannock leading. and then Pequannock just put 20 points
Yeah.
in the fourth. It was actually nothing even in the third. So it was 3 quarters of a 1-score game
Yeah.
until Pequannock just hopped on
Blew
the
open the door.
just turned on the Jets in that game, 134-7. And Kinnelon finished 5-5, and they actually missed the playoffs that year. So that was a year like Kinnelon really had a down year. And now, honestly, I don't see like anything like going into Kinnelon. They may get better, or they just may stay the same. Honestly,
Yeah.
again, I don't really statistically look at the roster because again, I really am the one that just studies our own team. But of course, I think Pequannock has a definite win against Kinnelon. So far, Mountain Lakes Ramsey, the coin flips. Parsippany Kinnelon, I think Pequannock's winning.
Yeah.
Hanover Park. So this is another interesting one that I talked about. So Hanover Park, Pequannock, and Hanover Park played at home last year. It was a Saturday game, so it was a day game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was another battle of the undefeateds.
Yeah.
And again, expected another close game, but it was the opposite, except in the wrong favor, of course, as you know, someone broadcast for Pequannock. Hanover Park came in and dominated, won 41-9, and that was a divisional game too. But Hanover Park dominated that game and won that, so Pequannock got their first loss of the season last year. Now this year, I think Hanover Park is still going to be very good. So I think honestly, this is a game Pequannock is probably going to definitely lose because again, Pequannock is a lot younger now. They don't have that like. It's going to be like a learning curve for a lot of these players. So at the same time, Hanover Park not really still being a good school. I think Pequannock is probably not going to win this game.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I'm hoping it's a lot closer though, and maybe they can do it.
Yeah.
But again, probability for that, I don't think so. Now Morris Catholic. So this was on the road at Morris Catholic. Of course, we played Morris Catholic at home last year. Pequannock won 46 last year. I don't think Morris Catholic's gonna be good this year again. So I'm not gonna like explain it into depth for this one. I'm just gonna say Pequannock's getting the win on that one. All right, we're down to the final 2 weeks. So Madison High School. So again, I talked about Madison. Started off looking pretty rough and slow, and then just turned on the Jets. So again, Pequannock played Madison twice last season. It was at Madison for the regular season game. It was their senior night. Now, mind you this, Madison High School does not have lights.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to set up those portable lights, kind of like what your school did.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah, getting there.
But, yeah, so Madison had a senior night. They set up those portable gas-powered lights. And we actually had a lead. But again, like we collapsed in the end. Madison just got going. Again, it was a close game. It was 21-14. Actually, when we let's go into this game into detail for the first game and then the playoff game because you're gonna see why I'm talking about this. So Madison had here we go. So first quarter, the only thing that was scored. So Madison scored a touchdown. No extra point kick. The kick failed.
Mm-hmm.
So 6-0. The second quarter, Pequannock gets the touchdown. And gets the extra point, so 7-6, a 1-point lead, and then Pequannock in the third quarter. So actually, after the second quarter, halftime it's 7-6 Pequannock. Third quarter, Pequannock gets a touchdown with the kick, 14-6,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fourth quarter, Madison turns on the Jets. They tie it at 14-14 because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes. So they scored 6 on the touchdown, which would make it 12. 2-point conversion to tie it. They got it. So 14-14 game, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2, 14. So that helped them. And then late in the fourth quarter, Madison gets the game-winning touchdown, 21-14 win for Madison. After Pequannock trying to hold down their fort, they were not able to. So now let's get into the playoffs. So again, playoff bracket for football is always crazy. Because Pequannock was a 3 seed, Madison was a 6 seed, but it did not feel like a 3 versus 6. Madison put on their game. So let's get into a bit of it here. You'll see what I'm talking about here. So it's a little bit flipped, but like you're gonna exactly see what I'm saying. So this time Pequannock scores the first touchdown, 7-0. They get the kick, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Madison scores a touchdown. The kick gets blocked. 7-6. You hear what I'm saying? 7-6.
Wow. So now you know it can be close.
No, it wasn't. So here's the thing. Like the script, like I like saying script, but it's not. The game was obviously not scripted. I'm just saying like the scoring like
Yeah,
pattern
overall, yeah.
was the
Now we
same.
get it. I'm sure people get
So
what you're saying.
the playoff game, I wouldn't say it happened ever in the same exact quarter because you'll see what I'm saying. Because after the second quarter, it was 7-6. The second quarter, Pequannock gets a touchdown with the extra kick, 14-6 after 2 quarters. The last game though, it was in the third quarter. It was 14-6
Yeah,
Pequannock. You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, it's a
But
lot.
then this is what gets crazy here. Madison again, this time in the third, scores a touchdown and gets the 2-point conversion
Wow.
and ties it again at
Wow.
14-14. But get this, late in the fourth quarter again, they score like what looked like to be another game-winning touchdown. They were losing 21-14 again.
My God.
Exactly the same script. 7-6 Pequannock,
Yeah.
14-6 Pequannock, touchdown plus the 2-point conversion like last game, tied at 14, and then they get another to make it 21-14. But this time Pequannock was like, we're not, we're locking in these final like 2 minutes in the fourth. 21-21 tie.
Yep.
And then we go to overtime. So Madison gets a touchdown. Except they try to go for, I don't remember. I think they try to go for a 2-point conversion. I think that's what they try to do. I don't remember. I would have to look back at the footage. It says 18-yard run pass failed. So I think that's a 2-point conversion because it would say kick failed on this score sheet here. So yeah, they try to get the 2 points. They probably try to get themselves the extra lead. So yeah, 27-21. So 6 points. You score a touchdown with just a single kick of the extra. You scored the normal touchdown with the 6. That ties it. You just get the kick. That's the winner right there.
Yeah.
That's the winner. They get the touchdown and then the kick. Everyone was standing. Me and my co-commentator Bryce, which you met, dude. We were like on our feet. And Nick Zucala, biggest kick of his life here, and he's a great kicker. Yeah. But I'm sure when I talk to him,
you're under so much pressure. I mean,
so much pressure.
You see this in the big leagues, not just in high school. It's a big deal when like literally everyone's watching. The game comes down to like your one move. It also so entertaining. It's just the best part.
Yeah, so much pressure. He gets it, and oh my God, everyone stormed the field. It was the greatest night ever. Crazy win. So again, Madison nearly escaped with a similar scripted, except just in the different quarters.
Completely aligned.
Just similar scoring pattern. They almost escaped with it, but in those final few minutes, again, I think late in the regular season game, Pequannock had the ball, but I think they intercepted it, which sealed the game. This time, Pequannock turned on the Jets and was able to get the passes and was able to tie it this time and get the comeback win in overtime. So again, that was an insane game. And Pequannock advanced to the semifinal round, beating the 6 seed as the 3. And now let's get into the crazy part. The semifinal round, the number 2 seed, your town, Burnsville.
Yep.
How coincidental is that?
Yeah. Can't make it up. Cannot make it up.
At your high school. TJK NETWORK came to your high school, and when I told you, you were like, you're coming to broadcast. You brought your friend Sam to do the camera.
Yep.
So let's get into that game. So it's a 3 versus 2 seed. You were an undefeated team.
Yep.
And one thing that was interesting is, it was a close game despite being a shutout. We lost 17-0. And, the main reason, which I think is what killed Pequannock throughout this entire season, again, maybe for the stronger opponents, is they weren't pass heavy. They were very run heavy, and they ran the same play a lot. And I think that's what killed them in the long run. Because, again, you look at the score, 17-0. 17 points allowed is not really that crazy. Defense was definitely doing their job. 17 is not crazy. It just doesn't help when you're scoring. Because, again, you get 2 touchdowns and a field goal. It's a tie game. That's what I'm saying. 3 drives. You're able to capitalize out of 4 quarters. So, again, the run game was not working. That's what really...
I don't know. I kept saying it. They just weren't able to get the ball. They weren't passing it. They were just running it.
And that's what your team was doing on Pequannock's defense. They were really getting the passing game going.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really killed us, you could say. But yeah, overall good season though by the team. Of course, Burnsville lost to the 5 seed in the sectional final.
Yeah.
As a 2, it was Shabazz because Shabazz went on a heck of a run. They were like, again, 5 seed. Again, remember, football is not like every other sport. Only 8 teams make it
Yeah.
because then it would be forever. We would have 16, what was it, like 8 weeks worth of extra
Yeah,
football
yeah.
here. But yeah, 8 teams make it. Mind you, there's no like 16 seeds. I think the private schools are the only schools that do 16. But
Yeah.
overall, you know, it's just, when you want to
Don't
get,
drag it too long.
yeah, you don't want to drag it too long. Plus,
got winter
every
sports
team
coming
is
too.
just fighting to get in.
Yeah.
And, your school shut us down pretty good.
Yeah.
So overall, Pequannock going into that. So now correlating back to Madison for this year, I think that's another coin flip game. But Madison could be better this year, so
Yeah.
I could see him taking that next step. And Pequannock could get the loss, or it could be a coin flip game again. You
Especially
never
with
know.
their history in here now with the past 2 games
Yeah.
they played.
Now the
Pretty
final
crazy.
game of the season, Sussex Tech.
Might be 21-14 something.
It could be. Imagine 7-6, 14-6, 14. Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine that again.
Could be. You never know.
Okay, so the last game is gonna be Sussex Tech on the road. So, going off of last year, I think we did play Sussex Tech. Yeah, 2024. We beat them 32-7. I don't see them really being good again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't really know the stats wise, but if everything stays in check, Pequannock should probably get the win in this. So that's my wrap for the season here overall. So going back, let's go back here to the schedule. So I have Mountain Lakes, Ramsey, and Madison being our coin flip games, and I see Parsippany, Kinnelon, and Morris Catholic and Sussex Tech being the definite wins, and I think the definite loss is gonna be most likely Hanover Park, and that's pretty much what I said. So there's a total of 8 games. So again, I think their highest ceiling they could finish is 6-2, and I think their floor is 5-3.
Yeah. At least winning.
Yeah,
You'd assume. Maybe.
yeah. Like I think they're still gonna be a good team enough.
Yeah.
Like I see them still being remotely solid. I mean, maybe their lowest floor is being 4-4
Yeah.
out of these 8 games. But again, I'm pretty optimistic. I think your highest is gonna be, again, they can go 7-1 or 8-0. Like we don't know. Again, we're going off
don't
of
know
just
till
our
we're
own
there.
idea
Yeah,
here,
no,
our
yeah.
own takes. But yeah, I think 5-3 is like the middle of the pack, like good record to get in the playoffs. I think they'll at least maybe I wouldn't say maybe a 3 seed. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
have a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I still see them like being in the top 4 spots. Like they'll
Yeah.
have at least a playoff game at home still. And mind you, last year, that win was also their first ever. That was their first playoff win ever since 2016,
Yeah.
which was on the road, and also their first home playoff win ever since in the early 2000s.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was an epic game, especially that game at 2027. Dude.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for football. So again, I think the absolute highest ceiling is 7-1. The lowest floor is 5-3. Middle of the pack 6-2. But I'm gonna stick with 5-3 or 6-2, honestly, because again, there's a lot of coin flip games. So 5-3 is probably my safe record. Again, the worst case scenario is 4-4. I don't think they're gonna be under 500, and they're gonna make playoffs. Like I'm not worried about that at all. All right, so let's get into the next fall sport here. So let's go for boys soccer. Because I wasn't here covering it. I just know there's one game scheduled. So unfortunately, there's no schedule out yet. I have it on my computer, but I'm not gonna go through it all the way because it'll just take too long to get it open. Maybe I will. I didn't cover soccer that much last year, so I can't right now. So I'm just gonna go off stat wise. I'm gonna assume their schedule is gonna be the same here, so I could be completely wrong. I don't want to make the video too long where I go through every single game because soccer's a lot longer. For football, it's only 8 games. That's why we individually went over it,
Yeah.
and we have some history. Soccer is like a lot more games, so we're just gonna go over like just a simple
More
rundown,
broadly. Yeah.
like a ballpark estimate here. So soccer, of course, was coached by Coach Generelli, great guy. I've talked to him before. He's a great guy. So I just want to go back a couple years, mainly maybe the 21-22 season. It was the last year under head coach Coach Zumo. And they went 17-5-1, and they were 6-1-1 in division in the NJAC Liberty. Great season. They made it to the sectional final and sadly lost to Ramsey on the road. So great year by the team. So 22-20, 22-23. I don't know why I'm still saying year because it technically is. It's technically,
Yeah.
it's still in the fall
Yeah,
year.
1 year,
So
yeah.
so we're just gonna go
No,
off.
we get it.
So
People understand.
2021 is 17-5-1. 2022 though, or yeah, 2023, the first year under TJK Network. I didn't really cover. I keep messing up here. so
You're good.
so 17-5-1 was actually the 2021 season, not going into 2022 because when you think about it, it's in the fall. So fall of 2021. I gotta remember that. The fall of 2021, 17-5-1. Let's go to the fall of 2022. So the first year under Coach Gennarelli, it definitely was probably not his favorite year, 8-9-2,
Mm.
and they got a, I think, no, they did not this year. They lost in the first round 4-0. So definitely not something that they probably were happy about.
Nah.
Especially in his first season. And then let's go to the 2023 season. 6-10-2. They actually started off pretty good with a winning record, but then they just got into a slump they couldn't get out of.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually nearly missed playoffs. They actually needed a team. They needed a team to lose to get in. And actually, the boys soccer. So I was covering a girls' soccer game at home. The boys. This was like near the end of the season. The boys' soccer team was in my press box, hanging out with me, and we were on. I had invited them on the mic. We were having a good chat and stuff. And they were like telling me, they need this team to lose to get in the playoffs, and they did lose, and they barely made it as the 16 seed, but they got in the playoffs.
Squeaked in, yeah.
So they finished 6-10-2. Not a great record, but let's get into this. The first round was at Ramsey, the 1 seed. 3-2. Very good and very close game, and Pequannock actually had the lead in multiple parts, but just couldn't hold them down. So again, this team can compete.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it from the get-go. They can compete in big games. A lot of these games they actually lost were 2-goal games. And again, Ryan Foley, who was a part of my class, was a very great goaltender. Or goalkeeper. Gotta use the soccer term. Goalkeeper. Kept the games close. The team just had trouble scoring. That was their main Achilles heel, was the scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the independence division. They actually had a good divisional record. So they were 6-10-2, 6-2-2 in the division. So actually all their wins were in the division.
Yeah.
So the 2024 season, they were in a different division. They were 2-4-2 in the division, but overall they were 11-6-3. They turned it around.
Yep.
So the beginning of the season, though, they were actually good, but in the end of the season, they kind of slowed down a bit, but they had a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the unfortunate part. They got upset by the 13th seed in penalty kicks.
Ah.
So they were down 1-0. They tied it, but then they got upset. So yeah, they lost 2-1 after penalty kicks. Now this is this is very gut wrenching too when you think about it. So Pequannock, of course, lost as the 4 seed against the 13. But even the next round, it would, if you go by favorite mode in the bracket, like just all favorites, it would have been a 4 versus 5 seed at Walker Valley. This is the part that is tough to swallow. If Pequannock won that, they wouldn't have had to play the 5 seed. The 12 seed upset the 5 seed, so it would have been a 4 versus 12 seed. But again, 2 great upsets by Lenape Valley and Cresskill. Credit to them,
No, 100%.
being that heavily underfavored and doing that to the top seeds in the bracket, kudos to them.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say. When you get upset, you gotta tip your
They
cap.
put the work in and they got
You gotta
it
tip
done.
your cap.
Yeah.
You gotta tip your cap.
Yeah.
Now the crazy part is it was a 12 versus 13 in the quarterfinal. The 13 upset the 12, so
Yeah.
there was still an upset when you think about
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
being low. A 1 versus 13 seed. It took only 3-0 really, but the 1 seed took out, and then it was a 1
Yeah.
versus 2 in the final. The 2 beat the 1. But again, Pequannock, that's a tough one to swallow. Again, that was a senior-heavy team, 11-6-3 to turn it around under Coach Gennarelli, and it's just tough that it had to end that way.
Yeah.
Again, 2-4-2 in the division. It was a very tough division. A lot of the divisional records were actually on the losing side because you play a lot of divisional games in soccer. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have about soccer. Now going into my prediction this year, I'm just gonna go over the roster and just Command F, like just search all seniors. I'll just show you. Look at all those seniors.
Yeah. Wow.
Senior heavy team. I don't know what's going into this, but I don't know. Like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough year. Like we're gonna see what happens. Like I'm hoping for the best,
Yeah.
but like this
They're
team
losing a lot. Definitely.
losing a lot of
I mean, there's gonna be a
pieces.
lot of newcomers with little experience at that
Yeah.
level. So
So this could be a down year
yeah.
for Pequannock boys soccer again. They could be back to like where they were 2 years ago, the past 2 years, which would absolutely be tough for the coach and stuff after building that winning team.
Yeah.
But again, it's about that learning experience. Again, they're younger.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a couple seasons.
And the coach is coached through it, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
It's not coming
and
in
he's
out
a
of
great.
nowhere.
And I've interviewed him. I've chatted with him. He's a great guy. He knows how to coach. Like he knows what he's like. He knows what he's talking about. Like he knows like exactly like what they need to work on.
Yeah.
He knows. He loves every player individually. He wants them to get better, and that's why I love him.
Mm.
Like he's a great guy too. I talk to him all the time when I see him on the field or when he comes to the games as a spectator for the other teams. I really have belief in Coach Generelli. Really finding
Making
a way
good team. Yeah.
to get this team to win, even if it's a tough year. Keeping the spirit alive because that's always important. And of course, again, just making the playoffs, even if it's a 16 seed, like when I was a senior. Because again, they gave Ramsey the 1 seed a run for their money. That could have went either way. So again, and also I should mention this too. In 2024, the JV team was very good. I think they went They were like 16-0-2. I think.
Wow. Yeah.
So again, very dominant JV team. Can those kids translate to varsity level?
Yeah.
I know it's a similar theme of like AHL to a good AHL player going to the NHL
Yeah.
or
How are they gonna mesh?
or going from the Somerset Patriots AA to AAA with the Rail Riders to the Yankees.
Yeah.
It's like a different. It's different.
It's a different game. It completely is.
Yeah.
Different ballpark. No pun intended. Talking
Yeah.
about the Yankees,
But I'm saying, can this JV
but
dominant
it definitely
JV?
helps though to know that. I did not know that. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, it
Can
definitely
this
helps.
dominant JV team take it to the next level and continue?
Prove their worth at the varsity level.
Yeah, like I don't expect them to be dominant like
Yeah.
JV. It's gonna take some learning, but if they can keep a nice standout I'm not even asking
Just
they
a
don't need
solid season.
they don't need to
Yeah.
be like dominant, like just a solid performance where everyone contributes. That's what I'm saying. I think if that goes all right, this team can still be a decent team. I don't think they're gonna be as good as the year before, but I think they can still be at least decent enough to at least. I'm not gonna say 4 seed because you have to be really good to be a top 4 seed. I'm gonna say if everything goes right, I'm gonna give them like a 6 seed,
Yeah.
6 seed respectable, and maybe they can upset the 3 seed because soccer I feel like it's just again in the playoffs it's very low scoring
Yeah.
and anything can happen. So I'm gonna say 6 seed is their
Yeah, I'm with you.
high floor if they're able to put the pieces together. And now let's go over to the other soccer team, the girls soccer team. So this was actually very interesting. So obviously when I was a senior, what I think that's the most important part to talk about is the 2023 season. 22-0,
Wow.
12-0 in the Independence Division. They were technically undefeated in regular season play. The only one loss before the playoffs was the Morris County tournament,
Yeah.
where they lost 1-0 in extra time, which is the overtime for soccer.
Yeah.
So again, incredible team,
Yeah.
and it was senior. And again, it
Unbelievable
was
team.
senior heavy with my class of 2024. But an incredible team, and it was not like they weren't like a fluke team. Like 20-2, they were winning games like 10-0, 5-0, 7-0. Like they were shutting
It
out,
was absolutely sad.
just demolishing teams.
Yeah.
Probably if you're an opposing team, Pequannock was the most feared opponent probably
Yeah. Oh.
on your schedule. Like
number one
for
feared, yeah.
preparation. Like that was the feared team, and they're coached by a great coach, McBurney. We'll go over him because he coaches baseball. He's a winning coach, awesome coach, awesome gym teacher. He's a winner,
Yeah.
and he puts the hard work in the teams, and it was absolutely like dominant, and they won the sectional championship.
Yep.
And the crazy part is that they played against an underdog, and the sectional final they won 1-0 in extra time. I'm sure you remember that, like how I was going crazy.
Oh, one of the best calls in history.
Best
yeah.
calls in history right there, calling an extra time game
Yeah,
winner.
Oh my god.
It was
that's
Addie
great.
Van Litten. It was she went for off the head.
That'll be one of my
From the-
votes for the best calls on TJK
Yeah,
Network.
it was off the corner kick.
Yeah.
So let's go over that. So that team they won was the Lenape Valley. 7 seed.
Yeah.
7 seed. Incredible run by them. Like, to go to the sectional final and play against a team that demolished like a lot of teams, and to force them into extra time and only
Compete.
and be a 0-0 game, like not even like just like tie score at something,
Yeah.
like 0-0. No, you held them
Knotted
to
up at
nothing.
Yeah,
And you unfortunately lost, but still great run by them.
for sure.
And of course Pequannock, just continuing with their dominance. And Mountain Lakes, unfortunately, they lost in the group semifinal against the other sectional champion here. They lost again 1-0 in extra time. So Pequannock, both their losses were 1-0 in extra time. It took them that much to get them to, lose. You could say, I mean, like I said, it don't happen twice. So the crazy part is that season they didn't have an actual legitimate goaltender or goalkeeper. I apologize, guys. Goalkeeper.
Too used to goaltenders.
Yeah, we're used to hockey term, but it's goalkeeper. But I mean, you get the
Same thing.
You get the same idea. So the 2022 season, they were 16-2-3. They were a 5 seed. They lost in the semifinal to penalty kicks. So another great team, and that was an actual goalkeeper. It was Emma Pieklo, and she graduated, of course. The problem was there was no actual there was no backup goalkeeper that was going to become the starter.
Yeah.
Zoe Wisner was a forward, and she came in to this goalkeeping job and absolutely dominated it. She had I think over 10 shutouts, a 922 save percentage, 920 something save percentage. Mind you, this is soccer. A 900 save percentage it's common in hockey, not in soccer.
No.
Soccer, you're in the 700 to 800 range, which is 80%. Because soccer, you're only
facing so many shots.
You're only facing so many shots. So that's the thing, is that she got so many shutouts and so many limited shots and so many limited goals against. It kind of adds up to an average hockey goaltender value wise. Because again, limited shots because the team had great defense. The team had great offense because they were running it the entire time. So yeah, she had a good year. So now let's actually go into the 2024 season, the season I didn't cover. And this is the unfortunate part. So with all the senior class of 2024 seniors being gone, I had some decent expectations for them, but they went 5-13-1. It was like, oh my goodness, what a downfall. An unfortunate downfall, too. But let's also go over this. 2023, 12-0 in the Independence. 2024, Liberty. Better division. They were in the same division with Mountain Lakes now. And Mountain Lakes, they took them out in the playoffs, but still, the thing is, Mountain Lakes didn't lose anybody. They actually I think they were an 8 seed in their own sectional playoff bracket. So they actually won a championship with as an 8 seed, and they had that same core, and they were actually the favorites now, 1 seed. So they got better. So when Pequannock went 5-13-1, well, in the beginning of the season when they went 0-1, I was like, bounce back next game, but they went 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. I was like, oh no, jeez. And then they got a win against Butler, but still, they 5-13-1. But it's just tough, You lose everybody. Coach McBurney it was probably a tough year for him. But again, there's only so much you can do. Again, with being in a better division, because again, that's the thing. 20-2, you're so dominant. Of course, they're gonna move you up. They want to put you against better opponents. And that's the problem.
It's not even competing at that point when you're absolutely dominant.
Yeah, that's the problem. That expectation was there, better division, and then they just couldn't capitalize. They went 0-10-1 in the division.
Yeah.
So they didn't win a divisional game. So going over just the simple stats here, let's go over the first round of the county. Actually, no. I mean, I don't really want to mind the county tournament because again, they were such a low seed to begin with on the road. They lost 2-1 though, so they actually put a good fight. So I want to go over a little bit of the first half and the second half. So the first half of the season, they were getting blown out a lot. So Zoe Wisner was a starting goalkeeper. That was her senior season. Unfortunately, she went 0-4 and lost her starting job because of this one person. So there's actual freshman class of 2020. So I don't know her, but of course I did meet her down the line. Marissa Vega. She played as a forward in the beginning, and later on, she became the goalkeeper because she's an actual goalkeeper. So that's a good thing. A freshman that's an actual goalkeeper. And she got all 5 of the wins, 5-9-1, and she had a 2.6 goals against average. So she definitely was able to fortify and give the team some stable goalkeeping for the future. It sucks that Zoe Wisner, lost her starting job, but she became a forward again. Because again, what did I tell you before? She was a forward before and had to be forced into that goalkeeping job and just did a good job at it, so she kept it. But again, she struggled again. and just became a forward again for her senior.
Yeah.
So she was still playing for her senior season. She just went back to what her previous job was. And Marissa Vega becoming the goalkeeper now, and coming off being an actual goalkeeper, it provides them stability. And later in the season, they were only losing by 2 goals now.
Yeah.
His problem is the team, it was late in the season and stuff. So again, the struggles were still there, but I think she did a good job. And going over the playoff bracket, they were a 14 seed, not a 1 seed. They fell apart, unfortunately. But the 3 seed against their rival Kinnelon, they only lost 4-3. They actually had a lead. This team actually gave Kinnelon, the 3 seed, a run for their money. They actually had some fight in them, and I feel like that, when they could bring that energy back with a new season, full season with maybe in a more experienced, sophomore season of Marissa Vega in the net. I think this team can turn it around to a respectable level. I'm not saying dominant like 2 seasons ago, because it's gonna take a lot to get back up to that elite status.
Yeah.
But bringing back like a respectable year, if you know what I'm saying, of like a winning record, maybe getting at least even like a 7 or 8 seed.
Yeah.
I think like it's just a huge jump. I feel like this team can get back to it because again, they have a lot of younger players. The team's gonna be younger now.
They've had the winning mentality before.
Yes, Coach McBurney's had the winning mentality, and I could see them hopefully turning it around this year. And with some teams probably like losing a bunch of seniors, I think it will help out in Pequannock's favor with them only losing a few seniors of the class of 2025. I seriously feel like they can actually become a competitive team again. I'm not saying dominant or being like legit contenders again. I think it's gonna be a couple years down the line, but if they can put on like a winning season, and maybe not even crazy, like maybe like just 12-9 or something like to show progress, because again, anything's better than 5-13-1.
Yeah,
I'm sure under coach's eyes. So that's my take on the girls' soccer season. Let's go over field hockey. This is a team I covered actually, because again they hired us too because they don't have the huddle feed. So field hockey. So when I was let's say this, I think it was my junior year, the 2022 season. They were 7-12-1, so they weren't really a good team. So let's go back to the COVID year. I think 2020. So 2019, they were an elite team. They were, if it's loading here, they were 17-4. They went to the sectional final and won it. Lost in the group tournament, the group part. And then 2020. So that was 2019. 2020, they went back to back, 13-1. Won these sectional championship. There was no group state championship. It was only sectional because it was a little bit of restricted here. But still, back to back, and then of course they lost everybody. That's when the losing began, and it was like that until 2023, the 2023 season, my senior year, 10-9, first winning season.
Yeah.
Now this is the most important part that we need to go over here. This is what really showed this team's capability. They were a measly low 13 seed. Played against the 4 seed on the road at Ramsey. Maddie DiFilippo, their best player on the team, who's going to play in college, hat trick to win it 3-2 for the upset. Incredible.
Yeah.
And they unfortunately lost to the 5 seed, 5-3. But they still, at least it was a 2-goal game. Like it wasn't like a domination.
Yeah.
So that showed the success this team had, and they also won the division 6-0 in the division.
Yeah.
Even with that 10-9 record, because again, those are all out of division games, but still 6-0 in the division. So 2024, this is when I actually covered them more. They built on it. 15 6-0, 6-0 in the same division again, back-to-back division champions. They were actually 6-0. They started the season undefeated before they got their first loss, which was 3-1. It's not crazy, but yeah, overall, this team was a very good team, and They got the 6 seed in the playoffs, so they beat the 11 at home 4-0. But then they got dominated against the 3 seed Palmden Lakes. So what I have to say on this? So it's gonna be an interesting season for field hockey because they're losing Maddie. That's their senior. The team only had I think it was 5 seniors, but those 5 seniors were massive contributors to the team. So we go to Maddie DiFilippo, 28 goals, 16 assists, 72 points. That's a big That's a big name for the team. That was their top player, and of course, Dominic Dagos was one of their top defenders on the team. So, it's going to be interesting who takes over on the job. My prediction is that Mia Cristofano, she had 37 points. She's the second leading scorer. She's going to probably have a breakout senior season because this is going to be her senior year. Again, it's going to be very interesting because, again, they're losing like quality seniors, but at the same
A lot of
time,
talent.
they have something they can look forward on.
Yeah,
Now
no, for sure.
it'll be interesting to see if they go fifth, like win the division again. It's always possible, but I would like to see them like take that next step. But I'm not sure. They're in an interesting spot. Like I think they'll either stay the same, in my opinion, or they'll take a slight step back, but not like step back like where they were like losing
Yeah,
it, like
yeah.
with a losing record. I think they're still in a good place. And again, well, I should actually go into this. I don't think they're going to start the season relatively well. Like,
Because people are gonna have to, learn their position.
no, it's not. Well, it's that, but like they're starting the season on the road against some of the tough powerhouses that they lost to in the
Oh,
regular
really?
season. Like
Really?
they're starting
Well,
against
yeah,
Mountain
that
Lakes
could be
at
even worse.
Madison. They got blown out by Madison, and then they lost to Mountain Lakes 3-1. Like again, there's not too bad. Madison maybe was because Madison was a legit contender. They were the 1 seed in that bracket, but Madison, I just see I see it being a tough matchup to
Yeah.
especially to play on the road. So like again, it's gonna be that's what I'm saying. Like again, they could pull off the miraculous win, which is what you hope for. But if it is going in the other team's favor, like they're not gonna have the best start. But I feel like they're gonna like once the opponents like ease out, they have some home games. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
They're better at home. They went 9-1 at home, 6-5 on the road. So there you go. So they were a better home team last season. So I feel like once they get some home games, they play less hard opponents. I think they'll be fine. All right, so the last fall sports season, girls volleyball. So 9-14. I mean, not particularly like the greatest season you would have wanted, but I would say it's better than the season I covered when I was a senior in 2023. 2023 they were 5-13, 3-7 in the division, and in 2024 they were 9-14, 5-5 in the division. So a lot better in my opinion. It's weird because 5-13 versus 9-14. So they had more wins, but they also have one more loss because they played one more game.
Yeah.
But I'd still give them credit for having more wins. So the thing is that they actually start the season off very good, but then like they just slump. So like we go to the 2023 season, 3-1 start, but then 3-2, 3-2. They were on a mass losing streak, 3-8 until they got their first win, coincidentally at Bernard's,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. This year I should say the 2023 season they were actually the 15 seed. They lost to the 2 seed, unfortunately. The 2024 season, they had a better they got more wins and they had a better divisional record, but they were the 16 seed and they had to play against the 1 seed and they got outclassed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going in for volleyball because again, Pequannock's volleyball team is still like not that old. Like their first season was literally in 2018, and their only winning season was 2020 when they went 10-3. But like other than that, they haven't had success. So what is it gonna take for them to have success? And I feel like there's gonna be that season where again, like we talked about with just other schools just not having good teams in general. At some point, there's gonna be at least a good pool where of players that come in and make the history.
Yeah.
I mean, even right now, I would say they have some standout players. They have the Arnold twins to look forward to. That they're going into their junior year. They play club. They're good players. So like I could see them really breaking out and stuff.
It's tough with volleyball. It's kind of like a new sport being like our team at my former high school because I graduated, but they were just founded like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of new exposure, meaning that like depending on who they play and stuff like that, like it can really go either way. So anyone with any ounce of experience, like especially there's 2 girls who play club.
Yeah.
That could be big.
So crazy. Funny part is that they actually beat Bernard's twice.
That's what I'm saying. We were a very new school, but a lot of schools around here are very new as well. So or relatively new. 2018 is relatively new, but 2024 is like ridiculously new. Or 2023, I think we started. So.
Yeah. So again, I don't know how because again this is another thing too. This is why probably another thing I should mention. So JV volleyball went 13-7, and even the year before they were 9-5. Like they have key pieces.
Yeah.
The question is, can they step it up to get to the varsity level? And there's definitely gonna be some spots because again, that team had a couple seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And if everything goes right, the volleyball team can maybe find their way to finding a winning season. And maybe this is not the year, maybe it is, but like, if any progress shows, again, going from 5 to 9 wins, I think is already some progress, but losing some seniors, we'll see how it goes. If they can get a couple more wins, maybe asking for a 500 or above season is a little too much, but like maybe some just more progress, just keep building on it. That's all I have to say about volleyball. And that's it for all the fall sports, and I'm gonna go over the winter sports too while we're at it. Again, it's way too early to make these predictions. So boys basketball went 19-9. They were the 3 seed. They got upset by the 6 seed. 8-2 in the division. They finished second. It's gonna be interesting because they actually had some good seniors on this team. After a very disappointing season prior, they turned it around. But again, they're going to lose a lot of seniors. So we'll see if they're able to step up their game. So I'm gonna go over these quickly because again, these are very early predictions. We'll probably make another podcast of when it's actually like before we get to schedule. We can actually dive deep into the rankings and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make it quick. So again, boys basketball, great season, but unfortunately just couldn't get the job done. Girls basketball was a pretty rough season. 3-22. 0-10 in the division.
Yeah.
They lost everybody. That's all I can say. They were 16-10 when I was a senior. They were 4 of the 5 starters were my class, and they lost everybody and then went 3-22. Missed playoffs. This was probably the first time I've seen a team miss playoffs since probably football back in 2022. So it was a big deal, and it was pretty disappointing, obviously for the seniors, but it's just the nature. It's just the nature of starting from fresh in a full rebuild, having like freshmen carry your team here. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say is, I don't think they're going to have a good year still. It's going to take some time before they can build up to an elite status again and get themselves back up to contention. So, again, progress, I think this season is all about progress. More wins. Winning now, like, to get to the, like, become a contender is probably not in their books yet. What's in their books is what they want to see in the players themselves in this progress. So that's all I have to say about them. I want to see them improve and have some progress. I don't expect them to be contenders right away because their team is relatively young. It's going to take like a few years maybe. So I'm not like wrestling is on TJK Network too, but last season they went 9-10. I don't know what really is going to happen if they can maintain the same record or get better. I think that's an improvement of season. That's all I'm going to say for them. So, ice hockey. So, we've been waiting to talk about this for a while. So, the WNPQ PL team, 2024, they were contenders. The first contending season in history. I can go over every year. I'm going to open up my notes because I have it all written down every season. So, the first season as WNPQ PL, 2018. So, now I can actually say the year to year because this goes into New Year's. So, 2018-2019. Their first year as WNPQ, just WNPQ before Pompton Lakes joined. We'll go over that. 9-16-1, 0-6 in division. Not very good. Then 2019-20, 10-13-1. 2020-2021, 6-6-2. 21-22, this is the first year under our current head coach. 8-16-1, 22-23, 5-13-3. So yeah, not really a successful program until 23-24, 15-8-1. So this is where I'll get into the specific stats. So 15-8-1, 3-1 divisional record. They won a division. They finished up first. Their home record was 9-7-1, so not really a great home record. The away record was great, 6-1-0. So the goals they scored 105 goals entirely, 4.38 goals per game. Goals against was 64, 2.67 goals against per game, plus 41 on the goal differential, and their shots against, like how many shots they allowed on their own net, 614 in total, 25.58 shots against per game. Team save percentage between Matt Montina and Nick Lombardo was 909. They lost in, sadly, the Passaic County Tournament Final as the 1 seed against the 2 seed PCTI in their sort of underdog run. Again, there's only 5 teams that make it. PCTI had a losing record as the 2 seed. But what you gonna do? They lost in the Big North Silver Cup quarterfinal. They got as a 4 seed. They got upset by the 5 seed. Actually, that was a weird Gold Cup. Every higher seed lost. The 1 seed lost to the 8. The 2 lost to the 7. The 3 lost to the 6.
Yeah.
The 4 lost to the 5. The PCTI won that Gold Cup. 6 versus 8 seed.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then, of course, were the 5 seed in the state bracket, and they lost in the final.
Mm-hmm.
against Tenafly. We know that, the 1 seed. 24-25, a very interesting season. So 14-13-1, back-to-back winning season. Mind you, also I forgot to say last year was the first season with Pompton Lakes at it. So the 22-23, the last losing season was just West Melbourne and Pequannock. 23-24, Pompton Lakes came in, brought us Timmy Ritchie, very very important player to this team. So going back to this season here, or I should say last season now because it's over now, but 14-13-1, and they finished 3-2-1 in the division. They were second. Ramsey and Hills won the division. Home record was 10-7, so pretty good home record. The away record was not great. It's 4-6-1. So this is the crazy part. They scored more goals than last season. So last year they scored 105. This year I keep saying this year, but 2024-25 season 121. 4.32 goals for per game. Because they played I think a couple more games. So again, not that much different. 4.38 compared to when they were contenders, and 4.32 when they, we'll get into more detail of the struggles. The defense though was a 2.67 goals against per game, 64 goals allowed. Goals against 141. 5.04 goals against per game.
Mm-hmm.
Negative 20 goal differential. So you could see they had almost the same goals for per game as the season before, but the problem was they couldn't keep it out of their own net. This is why we saw a lot of 7-6, 6-5 scores.
Yeah.
And a lot of, just like Pequannock WMPQPL having the lead and just blowing it. Because again, the defense was very inexperienced. That's what really carried the 2024 contending team. They had good offensive pieces, but even though the year after they had great offense, because again, they had those great guys step up. The defense, they lost too much, and a lot of JV guys came in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, WMPQPL JV hasn't really been a powerful, great team overall. So, having those guys be forced into the speed of varsity and stuff, it really made them struggle. So 5.04 goals against per game is high.
Yeah.
And their shots against per game doesn't help either. They had 957, and Matt Montina's dad, who's, the goaltender, up to 1,000 possibly. It wasn't an accurate count, but still, on average, 34 to 4, I would say 36 shots against per game. Very high of allowing shots. And the team save percentage struggled. Again, I don't blame the goaltending because when in the state playoffs, Matt Montina played like a wall. So, again, team save percentage by him was 857. And Mason Martone made 1 save, so it's on there too. So they lost in the Passaic County Tournament quarterfinals to 4 seed. They lost to the 5 seed Lakeland. Again, with the defense being a problem because they had a 4-1 lead and they blew it all in the second period. 4-4, and then we got the lead again. They made it 5-5. We made it 6-5. They made it 6-6 overtime. They won it 7-6 on the power play. You just can't have that happen.
Yeah, no.
It's just tough. The Silver Cup, they won the Silver Cup as a 3 seed. Beat PML 6-5 in overtime. Great game. It was again, PML was a new co-op team with Paramus Mall and Linders. That's new because Mawa was always the original team. PML was always a bloodbath because of their goaltender, Evan Borelli, playing hard out there. And, him getting upset at things. It definitely fueled the rivalry. And, it was a good final matchup. And, of course, the semifinal against a 2 seed, Tenafly. A team that, they lost to. Now, Tenafly was nowhere near as good as last year. They lost a lot of people. Or 2 years ago, I should say. So they were 11-11. So they definitely were not as good. But 3 versus 2, Tenafly was the favorite. 9-2 win. Dominated. Just simply dominated. And the 1 seed, which was Wayne, got upset by Lakeland. And absolute show for the sectional final. Lakeland versus WMPQPL. 4 versus 3, WMPQPL being the home team.
Yeah.
No rematch, redemption from the county tournament. WMPQPL wins it 6-5 to pick up their Silver Cup championship. And the state bracket. Interesting run. So I have to go over this one because this one was just an insane bracket because me and my crew were just hypotheticals, like how we could get to the final and stuff, like all this stuff. Everything that we said that would have to happen for us to have a chance to get far, did.
Yep.
So WMPQPL was the 11th seed. So let's go over the simple facts here. I'm going to tell you how many upsets happened. So 1 versus 16, the 1 seed won. That was a favorite. 8 versus 9, the 8 won. 5 seed versus 12 seed, 12 seed won. 4 versus 13 seed, the 4 seed won. So that's a favorite. The 3 seed versus the 14 seed, the 14 seed won. That was Nutley. And now let's go into, we'll skip WPQ for now. Lakeland versus the 2-seeded Ramsey Eden Hills, 15 versus 2. The 15 seed beat them 3-2. Lakeland beat them. That's crazy. Morris Knowles, the 10 seed versus the 7 seed Clifton. Morris Knowles won. And for WPQPL versus Verona on the road, we knew because again my college friend Dylan, because Fairlawn, the 3 seed, plays at Montclair Ice Arena. We played them, we got killed by them, and we also beat them 5-2 at Icefall. So it was gonna be an interesting game. So Nutley beat them 7-6. So that game had no defense, kind of like our situation. But WPQPL is the 11 seed, coming into Verona as a 6 seed, had a 2-0 lead. I would say choked it, but like not really, because again, Verona was really controlling in the game.
Yeah.
But Matt Montinez stood on his head. 2-2 going to overtime. We get the upset. This is the game I hit 1,000 subscribers. Crazy game at Cody Arena. So now, this is the crazy part. The quarterfinal round matchup. So you upset the 6 seed as the 11. You have a home game against the 14 seed, and then Lakeland versus Morris Knowles, 10 versus 15. And you have a 12 versus 4 and a 1 versus 8. So the upper half of the bracket is semi-favorited, but the bottom half, 14 versus 11, 10 versus 15.
Yeah.
Crazy low. WPQPL beats Nutley 12-5. Morris Knowles versus Lakeland, another upset technically, 10 versus 15. Lakeland gets the 3-2 overtime win for the 15 to take out the 10. So now it's an 11 versus 15 seed. So we still have home ice. We have had home ice advantage for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And this was the best out of the Silver Cup tournament because all these Lakeland games have been high score, messy, not defensive games. This game was a defensive war, 2-1 final. After all of it being like not real, like I would say careless defensively a bit.
Just a ton of goals being scored both.
Yeah, it was an outscoring competition. This game 2-1,
Yeah.
great game to watch. Kept you in your seats. I mean, honestly, well, all these WPQ Lakeland games kept you in your seats because again, the defense was very inexperienced. So anything could have happened that kept you that nerves in it. But the 2-1 game was like close. It was hard fought.
Yeah.
It was gritty. It was like every team was not pinching in. Every team was sitting back, playing smart. Like it was like it felt like an NHL playoff game where like every team was like very focused on just trying to keep the fundamentals together and not worry about scoring. They were just focused on getting a couple goals and just holding back
Yeah.
to keep the lead. 2-1 game, awesome game. They get to the sectional final, and of course, going back to the quarterfinal, the 1 seed. Pascagoula Valley gets upset by the 8 seed KJS United. And the 4 seed, West Essex beats the 12 seed. So 8 versus 4, and then you had the 11 versus 15 for WPQ and Lakeland. The 8 seed upsets the 4 seed. So that's another upset right there. 5-1, domination. So sectional final, low. 8 versus the 11. KJS played WPQPL before and demolished us like 7-0. So again, I didn't have that many expectations going to this game, but we scored the first goal. But then KJS turned on the Jets, and they dominated us 8-3.
Yeah.
So, again, disappointing finish. Again, 8-game win streak. They were 6-12-1, and their last loss was a 11-1 mercy loss to PCTI. And to go on an 8-game win streak and win a Silver Cup championship and also get to sectional finals in the 11th seed, it showed this team could be a lot better.
Yeah.
Than
And
what
who could
they
have
were.
spawned that up? Yeah. The 8 in a row.
8 in a row. So going from 6-12-1 to 14-13-1 is perfect. So for WPQPL, the whole goal is to build on it.
Yeah. Keep it going.
This time, instead of, again, regular season.
It was like the tale of 2 seasons pretty much.
Yeah. Regular season, again, weren't
Nothing
good.
wrong.
Again, I'm sure they're going to have a lot more motivation and fuel in this regular season to get wins and to get a better seed to potentially get to the final and actually finish the job.
Yeah.
So, again, they're losing some notable players. They're losing Kyle Gregory. That's their captain. He's their best player on the team. Kyle Gregory had 29 goals, 51 assists, 80 points. 80-point season. That's good.
Yeah.
That's someone gone. And they're going to still have Joe Barcaro, 30 goals, 32 assists, 62 points. It'll be a senior season. Timmy Ritchie. If I can find him here. Where's Timmy? Timmy Ritchie, 40 goals, 22 assists, 62 points. You're still going to have those guys on the team. You're losing, unfortunately, Kyle Gregory, and you're losing a depth winger in Derek Pizzariello, who played on Kyle's line. And you're losing the best, I would say, defenseman that kind of helped it make it somewhat, bearable. I'm not going to, say the defense was better without him or not, but he definitely, helped a bit because he was a senior. He could teach the guys. So Anthony Weiss, he'll be gone too. He had a 15-point season, 1 goal, 14 assists, 15 points as a defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes from here? So they're losing a couple seniors. Nothing crazy. The rest of the guys were depth guys like Lucian Barca, AJ Valero, and Jason. They were like JV. They were depth guys.
Yeah.
You'd say they were leaders.
Mm.
Because I don't want to say I don't want to give any hate to or just any slander to any of the players that weren't as good as the top guys that were seniors. The leadership is what you want to see in them.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully that's what they did in the locker room. And so, besides that, we're getting a nice preview from the summer league games, which is good. You were at them, so they got a new guy, defenseman from Don Bosco JV.
Yeah, we saw him.
Now, of course, you're like, whoa, JV is not crazy. Don Bosco pulls in a bunch of talent. Keep in mind, their varsity team is full of talent.
It's stacked.
So, JV is gonna have a lot of their younger guys want to come in. So that's the thing. Their JV team is probably
Their level.
that's what I'm saying. Their JV can compete against average public varsity teams. And when we saw him, he's not a small kid like a normal school.
Yeah.
No, he's big, he's athletic, and he scored goals when we saw him. So that's a great addition, Jack Murphy. And they're getting a couple freshmen. I don't know, they're small. We'll see how they do. But again, as long as Joy B, Kyle Gray not Kyle Gray, he's gone now. Sorry, Joy B and Timmy Ritchie have explosive offensive seasons. I really think this team can be better with the new defensive additions, too.
Yeah.
That's what the team needed more. I feel like they could still be good offensively. They just needed some defense reinforcements. They're still going to have a year of Matt Montina. This is his senior year, so he's going to put on his A game. But yeah, that's just a hockey team. Again, we're probably going to get more in depth when the actual schedule comes out in another podcast later down the line. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much all the winter sports. So let's quickly go over the spring sports, and then we can wrap up here. So girls, let's actually go over baseball first. Let's go over baseball. So baseball. So 2023, they won the state championship. 26-5, most winning record in Pequannock history. Coach McBurney, girls soccer coach too, just successful coach. Crazy. 2023. At the end of 2023 school year, wins the baseball team a state championship, sectional, and the full group state championship.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning of the 23-24 year, still in 2023, he wins the girls soccer team a sectional championship. Incredible.
What a year for him.
What a year. And he won Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
As he should.
Yeah.
So let's go over the baseball team. So it's a little interesting. So after the season, they actually weren't expected to still be good. They lost all their seniors, but 19-10. They were a 3 seed. They were a 2 seed the year before, and they had to beat the 1 seed Pompton Lakes, and they came back and won that 9-5. They were losing 5-1 or 5-2 if I remember. I was radio in that game. And then, of course, 23-24, it's a 3 seed. They actually didn't have to play the 2 seed. The 2 seed got upset, so they had home field all the way to the final. 1 seed, Pompton Lakes again, rematch. But this time, sadly, Pompton Lakes gets their revenge.
Yeah.
And wins this game 5-0. So that sucked, but again, the team was going to have almost the same core, losing a couple seniors. So 2025 season, 17-8. Second in division again, this time the 1 seed. But unfortunately, they fell short to the 4 seed in the semifinal, so they didn't go for the 3-peat in the sectional final.
Yeah.
They fell short. They unfortunately, so the playoff, the scoring dried up. I think that's the main problem. The first round against a 16 seed, they were 6-17. At first, I got a little concerned because they were actually getting on base, but we won 7-2. But again, against a struggling team as a 16 seed, I mean, there's nothing more you can say. The 8 seed, Kreskill, great pitcher on the mound. They had a 1-0 lead all the way to the bottom of the 7th. Pequannock was able to tie it and walk it off with a win. It definitely put a lot of nerves in people's, pockets. Because they were nearly upset by an 8 seed as the 1. As you want to be the favorite. You want to go far. So the semifinal round, the 4 seed. So every bracket, so far this bracket's been all favored for our half. The 4 seed. So it was Wallkill Valley. Pequannock has a 2-0 lead. And they had a couple guys on base, but still, they had 2 outs. Costly errors on throw into first. Tied the game at 2. And then, unfortunately, another error. You had another chance to end it at 2-2, but no. Then you go down 4-2.
Yeah.
Pequannock gets one back, but unfortunately they're not able to tie the game, and they lose 4-3, which ended their run. And now that's what we're at now. So that team was senior heavy.
Yeah.
So what happens here from now is, they're going to lose a lot of pitching, and I don't know what's going to happen with this team. Their JV team was very good, so hopefully that could translate to
That can help.
varsity.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one.
Toss up.
It's gonna be a toss up season. So that's all I can say about baseball.
They've had that consistency though in the 2 to 3 spot
Yeah.
at the end, so you never
So
know.
softball,
Possible.
13-11, 2-6 in division. They weren't good in division because it was a good division,
Mm-hmm.
but softball turned it around. They were 7-19 the year before, and they had a winning record this year. And
Yeah.
let's just get this stat. They were 7-0 on TJK NETWORK podcasts in person.
that.
7-0 is
Yeah.
crazy. Like that's insane. But yeah, 13-11. So turn it around, and I don't know what goes from there. They're losing a couple seniors that contribute to the team. The team still didn't really have the best pitching. Like their ERA was still combined 6, but they were just a scoring heavy team.
Mhm.
So I think they're still going to be decent, and that's what their goal is, to continue on. Maybe Savannah LaCarla gets her game better to lower her ERA, because then she can lock down games better. So yeah, that's all I can say for softball.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go over boys lacrosse. So boys lacrosse finished with a 7-9 record, so not a great season for their expectations. But again, we have to go back 2 years. So basically, 2 years ago when I was a junior, maybe 3 seasons ago, I can't count, but 3 seasons ago, we were 16-3. Yep, 16-3 or something like that, and they won the division, and they were an 8 seed, but they got upset by the 9 seed. Now going to my senior year, they went up to a way too tough division against way better teams with the same team almost, but the problem is they struggled. 6-11, they had the same 8 seed, so it just shows again you can have a losing season against tough teams and have a good seed compared to having an undefeated season against like winless easy teams or something. So it just shows, what the like how like NJ like weirdly like brackets their does their like PowerPoints and stuff for lacrosse. It's very different compared to every other sport, I feel. So what was I gonna say? So the 2025 season, they go back to the old division. So after that tough 2024 season, they got the 8th seed, but of course they lost in the second round, the quarterfinal round. They were able to get the win against the 9th seed, which is good, but the 1 seed, they were outmatched. The 1 seed was like really good, so unfortunately they fell short of that from that. And of course they went back to the old division because they lost everybody, and they struggled still. So they were actually 7-5 at some point in the middle of the season, but unfortunately, they went on a mass losing streak, and they couldn't recover.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what's gonna be the future for boys lacrosse. They're gonna be probably in a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over girls lacrosse now. So girls lacrosse went 13-4, 6-0 in the division. So again, let's recap. A couple years ago, the team was 7-12, almost like field hockey, and then the year after they turned it around, going 10-9.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they lose in the first round as the 9 seed against the 8 seed Jefferson. That was actually the first broadcast on TJK NETWORK that was an away game, and also it was like we were in their press box. We had permission and stuff. It was awesome. They lost in overtime 14-13, so it was a good game between a 9 versus 8 seed, and both teams had a 10-8 record.
Yeah.
Before we finished 10-9. So the 2025 season, Pequannock girls lacrosse, got better, won the division 6-0, 13-4, but they had an 8 seed. They were only 1 seed higher. And that the main reason why is because again that division was just not as tough as other teams. So they had the 8 seed, they beat the 9 seed Kinnelon 7-5, but then they lose to the 1 seed on the road, Glen Ridge, 19-12 though.
Yeah.
So not really that bad. Pequannock even had the lead early in the game. So again, it's not close, but again, 19-12, this team was scoring.
They're competing, yeah.
So like what I said before, like in general, just talking to some people, I really think Pequannock girls lacrosse should go up a division. I really think that they can be a lot better seed wise if they go to a better division. I'm not saying like the hardest like stars and stripes divisions like what
Yeah,
your
yeah,
school's in, I think, because I think that's way too much. But like,
yeah,
there's another division like the one that Kinnelon's in, because they were 9 and 10, but they were on C below us.
yeah, yeah.
It's like not that doesn't look that Jurassic or like seed wise, but when you look at the records, you're like, oh wow,
How did that happen?
how that happen? Because they're on a better better division.
Yeah,
So that's what, and that also proves my point too. Despite them being 9 and 10, us being 13 and 4, 7 and 5, like that's what I'm saying. It's like the quality of the PowerPoints and the
Mhm.
team itself. Like it's not nothing to do with the record. It's the schedule. 7 and 5 was not that crazy
Yeah,
for an 8 versus 9, especially losing record team. So Kindle put their on their A game. Again, 7 and 5, not too bad. So again, the most important thing I think this team should do, I recommend personally, is move up a division, because again, I still think even if they move up to a slightly better division, they can still have a winning season. I'm not expecting them to be the same like the year before. Again, because again, it's gonna be a tougher matchup. You may
yeah,
lose a couple games, but if they're close, you're gonna get some quality power points out of it, especially against these harder teams. And long as it's like a decent record, I think they could still get a good enough seed to maybe go on a deeper run,
yeah.
playoff run.
I agree.
And I think down the line that's what they should do. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it, but regardless, though, if it's a recommendation, I think they should take it.
Yeah, it gives you the experience too, and you can see that they're competing on that level anyway when they get into the
Yeah, they're
actual
definitely losing a
postseason.
couple seniors, but again, they're gonna still have enough, I think, to still be a decent enough like quality team on the field
Yeah,
to watch. And that's pretty much it for all the Pequannock sports here. So that's our outlook into the 25-26 season. Again, not that much for the other like the winter and spring, because those are a
yeah,
long away. It's more about the fall. We went over football, boys and girls soccer,
exactly.
and
We have some schedules and stuff
volleyball.
like that, just a little more to actually dive deep on. But yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good analysis.
Yeah, very good analysis, and we're gonna make more podcasts down the line. Keep,
Certainly.
not just about Pequannock High School sports here. We're gonna talk about the major leagues too. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our TJK Network channel, especially. And one more thing is, if you guys didn't see, we have a 24/7 music stream. We finally got that going, and of course, we're gonna have the TJK Central live stream rolling too. So other than that, anything else you have to say?
Nah, thanks for watching. I'm excited for the future of this podcast. I think there's a lot of potential, especially with these sports teams digressing. But yeah, no, just in general, being able to talk about not just Pequannock sports, but Major League sports and just current events in general. I'm excited. And growing the TJK Network brand is gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, well, we look forward to the upcoming season, 25-26 season, and we're gonna make more podcasts on the line. We'll definitely do some sports recaps and stuff when the season's happening, because they're gonna be out once a week. Where I'm trying
Yep.
them out during the middle of the week. We don't have the set schedule yet, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. This is Tarek Kazazak, and
Logan DeRosa.
we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace out, everybody.